Hi, how you all doing? It's Leisha, and I am currently in Northwest London. And why am I here? Again, being compelled to record moments of my life and learn from these experiences, and hopefully people can relate and actually learn from these experiences and grow as well. I just want to ask a question, really and truly. It may be just me, but why in particularly are black men so sensitive? I'm going to be honest. I'm not a broken, damaged black woman as I sit here. Yeah. I'm not a hard, cold, unloving, unnurturing black woman. Nah. Let me give you a little bit of history as to why I've come to this conclusion. I came from a place of abuse, rape, daddy issues where he came and went as he felt, and my mum kind of just allowed certain behaviors for a certain element of her lifetime and my lifetime and my brother's lifetime, okay? And throughout that, my experiences thereafter, leaving my family home, have not been particularly great, especially with men in relationships or men in situations, as I call them lately. Situation shits is my word, all right? So, throughout your teenage years, you date, you go out, you hold hands, you do a little kissing, canoodling, cuddling, that sort of thing. Nothing too heavy. Because of what I'd been through, I didn't really want to have that discussion with anybody about when did you lose your virginity? Because for me, it wasn't a choice, okay? That was taken a lot sooner and younger than I would have actually chosen or have hoped. Let's put it that way. So when it came to when I actually did interact and have intercourse with somebody, I was still quite young. It wasn't the greatest experience. And I didn't really feel nothing. I wasn't in love. It was done. It was kind of like, yeah, check. I've acknowledged it with my cognitive skills, should we say, as I've got older, which have developed, and I've acknowledged it emotionally in that respect, yeah? So I was old enough to actually know what I was dealing with internally. And again, not the greatest experience. I did it without protection, stupid, and I got an STI. It was only thrush, but still, do you know what I mean in that respect? It was just back to, right, anyway, we'll move swiftly along. Like I said, went out with a few guys, and I kind of saw a guy when I was like 16, 17 for a while. I mean, he had children from a previous relationship, so it wasn't really going anywhere. My mum and dad were like very cautious of who I interacted with around that time. I was at work, I was going to college, I was doing a lot. So, you know what I mean? Every now and then when I had some free time, I'd spend some time with him around his friends or whatever. He'd pick me up from work and we'd have a little smoke, that sort of thing. So nothing too heavy. Again, it wasn't no love thing. It was just young people interacting, and we happened to be together for a period of time. And then I bounced around a little bit on my own, to be quite honest with you, and I got into university, and things really changed for me because it was unexpected, but it was wanted, yeah? And I then met somebody through a mutual friend, like through a friend, and then they knew that person, or kind of, and then that's how I met this particular person. And by this time, I was like 18 going on 19. I think I was 19 going on to about, maybe sort of 19-ish. Everything was fine with this particular individual. It was a bit risque. He was from Northwest London, from an estate from where I was from, but I didn't really know of him, and he'd done some stuff in his life, and it was all, he was my first experience of what I would call road man. Let's just put it that way. So, yeah, it was all very well exciting at first. It was very exciting at first. You know what I mean? Going out, shutting sales, meeting people, picking up things, cutting up things, like doing things I'd never done before. Did you hear what I was on my way to university? You understand? Right. So, although I'd bun a little food and that, blazing thing in the background, it wasn't that I was ever out on road. Do you know what I mean? To go and phone my peoples, get what it is that I needed, or knock a door, see a man, know a man, hit a corners, get what I needed, and hustle back inside my yard. But as for once I started driving, and then I met this particular individual, this guy, my guy, one of them ones there, like, and everybody knew him. I was like, well, he's popular. I felt safe. I was going through a lot of shit, like, and just before I'd met him, I'd actually been raped, but I didn't say nothing to nobody. I just kind of you get me? So when I met him, he kind of got me out of that. He kind of knew the people that were involved and, you know what I mean, kind of fought my corner. So I was just like, yeah, this person is actually for me, innit? So a few years roll by and there's tribulations. We have to get out the ends. He's done certain things. It's all catching up with him. He wants to settle down. I'm a different type of woman compared to what he's used to, or a different type of girl. He sees my vision. He can see where I'm going, what my potential is, that we're not really for road, but we can make money doing other things. And because I got a little bit going on up there, yeah, things progressed. A couple of years later, he goes in and out a couple of times, short term, little remand things, little things are trying to stick on him. And then he goes in for quite a long period of time. So during this period, we had some things that we were paying for on a month-to-month basis, basically. And it was all right when the two of us was out here and things were rolling and money was being made. But once he was inside after a certain period of time, everything was just kind of left to me. None of his friends were trustworthy enough to kind of roll with and do certain things with. So I was at uni, I was hustling, I was doing certain things, and like, you know, grant money, loan money, student money, that can only stretch so far. So things kind of came on top. And by the time he got out, there was a little backlog of bills that needed to be paid. Let's just keep it real. And he was really upset because he's like, but I set you up. I put you in a position. I made sure that things were good. And he just didn't get it. He just didn't get it while he was actually out here. They have a way of thinking that this is how things work. But when they're in there, because they can't really see. And as much as I was giving him information and his friends were telling him certain things, it wasn't really the way that it was on road. So it was troubled times when he got out. So there was a little bit of violence at first, just a little one slap here and there and a little shove here and there and a little wrestling kind of thing, in a way that it was, he's disciplining me and holding me down, but he's kind of allowing me to struggle back to kind of see what kind of strength I've got or where my mind is at. So, you know, from that point onwards, it became more of a regular thing, let's say. You know, he'd go out and have a bad day, I'd be there, but I'd pick him up and there's not enough petrol in the car, but just constant, you know, to the stage it started happening in front of my family, it started happening in front of my mum, and there was no boundary. It wasn't like he was even scared to even show that side of himself in front of my peoples them. Like, you know, my mum weren't around my dad. I don't have no brothers in that way. There wasn't anyone there to back me to say, yo, she don't need to be dealt with in them ways there. You understand? What, for a little backlog on some bills and them things there? Look at the situation you left her in. Look at where she was going and look at what she's doing now. You know, during this period of time of knowing this individual, I actually went to jail because of this individual. Not for a long period of time, but that's a different story altogether, but I actually went to jail. Do you know what I mean? So, university student, domestic violence, jail. How does that happen? How does that happen in the space of like 2-3 years? Like, people qualify from university in that space of time? No, rather than qualifying from university, I was getting locked up. Do you see what I'm saying? Right. Okay, like I said, different story. So, since then, I've kind of, like I said, this has gone on a little bit, but since then, I've kind of realised that I've had these very awkward relationships with guys. Relationships in regards to, you know, whether it's just sexual. I've never really done one night stands, whether they're short-term relationships or years relationships. But at some point, they seem to tell me that I've got an attitude and I'm ungrateful. But I'm kind of looking at, but what have you actually done for me? Not done for me or done with me, furthermore. Have we built anything? Do you see what I'm saying? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, I'm going to work, I'm paying bills, you're doing your thing. Like, have we got a mortgage? Have we got children? No. We haven't got there yet. We're not doing that. So I've recently been interacting with some guys over the last couple of years, and they're kind of strong characters, and I'm thinking, it doesn't bother me. I like that kind of dominant kind of way in regards to friendships, and they know what they're doing, and they got their mind frame and it's set. And do you see what I'm saying? It's just like, yeah. But then when I'm not entirely on board in regards to their thought processes or their feelings, they want to switch and make out like I'm a bad person. And I'm like, but hold on a minute. Me not understanding your thought process or seeing your vision or wanting to follow you on your journey doesn't mean that I'm ungrateful. It doesn't mean to say that I don't get it. It doesn't mean to say that you now have to turn around and take it like to a level where you're in attacking my characteristics, my personality, and telling me about my character, my being, and that I'm a bad mind is the typical terminology they like to say. You're a bad mind, and well, you might as well just say grudgeful, bad mind, and envious, of which I'm none. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like, I'm with you, I'm supporting you, I'm taking what it is in regards to energy from you, I'm delivering energy, and there are times where I've kept myself humble, times that I've kept myself quiet, there are times that I've actually expressed opinions, trying to keep things fair and unbiased, so it's all black and white, it's all plain, it's transparent, but yet somehow they still want to look at it as if to say, I'm not doing enough for them, I'm not taking them into consideration enough. Who are you? How did we meet? Most of the time we've met on Facebook or some form of social media. It's not like to say I've met you in some dance hall where it's a face-to-face interaction, because that's a different energy altogether. But when you speak with people on a phone, yeah, you can park them because they don't really get what's going on in here. But when you spend time around people in close proximity and you've kind of given them a little bit of about who it is that you are, and they still want to turn around and use that against you, it's really made me wonder is, who's sensitive? I'm not sensitive. It doesn't get my back up when someone tells me something about myself. That's if I've realized that they've actually studied and they've got to know and they've asked questions and they've come to an analysis and a conclusion because they've got information. But rather than just looking at a post, looking at a flippant comment and taking it in a way, because don't forget, they're reading the comment from their perspective, not from my perspective, not the way that maybe it was written and not the way that it was felt and not the way that it was meant, because we read stuff from our own personal experiences. If I'm having a bad day and I read something, I might not even take that information in, whether it even be good, bad, or or positive. It may not get in just because of where I'm so closed, the energy is so dark and negative that I'm not absorbing, because dark holes as such don't absorb light, if you see what I'm saying, yeah? You've got to be light in order to let stuff in. You've got to be lifted of energy in order to let stuff in. It's like, if you've got a full belly, you shouldn't eat more because you're going to get an upset stomach, innit? So therefore, you've got to wait for an element of digestion, and an element of not starvation, but of hunger before you then fill up again, innit? Is where I'm coming from. So it's just made me kind of sit back, realise, and I'm not even going to question certain behaviours from certain men around me like that. I'm just going to let them carry on. Because their behaviours, their thoughts, their patterns is all from their experiences. And they've come to a conclusion about women, about their environment, about individuals around them, that maybe they're not always so correct. But it's because they're coming from an own personal perspective. So when they actually finally start to ask the right questions and stop being, I know more than you, moral high ground, I'm better than you in regards to ethics, them kind of ways there, because they've done a little bit more reading, or they've read different books, or they've lived a different journey, and it's not the same out here for certain man in these ends. Yeah, I get it. But I'm not the enemy. That's what I want to say to you, yeah? If you think that I'm actually the enemy, all I say is, if you're a God-fearing person, God forbid you actually meet your enemy if he thinks that me are the one. I'm not the one. So this is 2020, and I've decided I'm not going to let no men disrupt my energy. I got enough love for me, but if you want to add to it, it's all good. I got enough haters out there, so you can just join that bandwagon if that's what it is that you want to do. It na bother me. It na gonna take my life. I'm not going to lose a breath. I'm not going to lose an hour of sleep worrying about sensitivity, overreacting, rather than asking questions and having dialogue and communication, so we have a conclusion that we are both happy with where we're coming from. We both have an overstanding, understanding, no matter however you want to put it. But we come to a place where both parties can walk away feeling like their feelings and their thoughts have been taken into consideration and been listened to. Much love, people. And especially to the men out there who actually sit down and may take 5 minutes to watch this. I don't have no hate. But you know what? I've got love. But you know what, finally? My patience with Uno is running very, very, very thin. And with that being said, take it easy. And I'll come back with the jail stories. Much love.